for a minute. Welcome, everyone. We're just going to arrive for a moment. And take a deep breath and just be here for this beautiful Hormone Breakthrough Wednesday. Yes. Going to get into our bodies for a moment, which is exactly what exercise does, right? It's the beautiful Heather Houston. Well, welcome everyone. That's a beautiful Heather Houston, and the song is called Surrender. Isn't that so gorgeous? So beautiful. Talk about hormone balancing. Yes, it's getting into our bodies with some beautiful music. It's so great to be here with you today. It's Hormone Breakthrough Wednesday, and we have a very special guest on today. I love this special time that we have together so that we can say yes to ourselves and take charge of our health so that we can be in a place of wellness and peace and love and the present moment more of the time. So that spreads to your family, to your community, and to the world, right? So that we can live a much more wonderful existence here on this planet. In our earthly bodies. Yes. So today is all about midlife exercise mistakes and how to fix them. And it's especially important in, post-menopause, but also, perimenopause and some of the damage that we do even earlier, when we just don't know. So my special guest is going to share all about that today. And her name is Debra Atkinson. Debra, it's so great to have you on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I love this topic. I love you. And now I'm in love with that artist. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, Heather's really beautiful. And she's a big part of the Hormone Reset. And yeah, she's just a gorgeous singer. She leads choirs and stuff. So yeah. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Debra. She is a best-selling author with 6 titles, serving women and men flipping 50, as well as fitness professionals. She has 37 years industry experience, including roles as senior lecturer in kinesiology at Iowa State University, American Council on Exercise, subject matter expert, and Medical Fitness Network Educational Foundation Advisory Board member. She's a certified NSCA, CS ACE, medical exercise specialist and coach. You graduate. She also has an awesome TEDx talk, I believe. What is the name of the TEDx talk?
Why everything women in menopause learned about exercise may be a lie.
It's so good.
Yeah.
You have to watch it. So good. Well, welcome. It's wonderful to have you.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we were just talking about how you are, you're out in the woods.
I'm in the woods. I'm in the sticks. Yes, literally. So I'm very near Boulder, Colorado, for those of you that know. And I'm combining a little business trip. We're scoping out some venues for an upcoming Flipping 50 retreat, but I'm also combining that with family. So we just met for a hike this morning. So it's so fun. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So awesome. We were talking about how important it is to be in nature, to be under the stars, to be able to actually see the stars, and the moon, and just be in nature. So you're going to help us a little bit with exercise, because I know for me, I needed this when I was in my 20s, right? And because for decades, when January rolled around, I would over exercise and undereat, and I would really wreck my metabolism even more. And Yeah, I'd lose some weight, but then I'd gain it right back. And so it wasn't sustainable, and not only that, but it totally continued to keep my hormones out of balance. So I love this. You were going to share how the fitness industry owes women, specifically women over 40, an apology.
Oh my
Tell us
gosh.
about that.
We do. We've made it very hard because among us, we contradict each other. So if you go to your timeline today, if you're participating in social media, you will find one expert, quote unquote. They're calling themselves that, right? We do that too. And in our industry, there is no standardization as far as licensure. So someone can say they're a personal trainer without actually being certified. There's that. And the assumption is if you would walk into a gym and trust that you're getting assigned to a trainer, perhaps that they've been vetted, there's a good opportunity that they have not been vetted very well. So there are over 80 different certification agencies, 500 different kinds of certifications, some of which come like a Cracker Jack box over a weekend, and it's very easy, it's a low barrier to entry. But I think the biggest part is we contradict each other. We make it hard for you to choose. And I think it's very difficult for anyone to sort through what is based on science and what is simply passed over and it's rumor. And this is the way we've always done it. So we need to continue to do it that way. And that's where really the highlight falls on midlife women because things change so dramatically. And the exercise prescription, the guidelines we've always followed no longer fit. And they don't take into account the fact that we've changed and we don't have the same hormone profile as young athletic men who are most often the subjects in studies. So on everybody's behalf, we're sorry we've confused you with the conflicting advice.
Yeah, so true. And you do have to look at studies.
Right.
And you do have to see who the studies were done with, because most studies are done with men. And we don't have the benefit of knowing the impact of many, many things. I was just reading a study on, this is pretty cool, on cranberry powder for actually opening blood vessels. So being, really great for keeping blood vessels open. So it's like a nitric oxide kind of elixir.
Yep.
And the studies were all done on men.
Really?
So you're like, well, shoot, I'd like to keep my blood vessels open too, but what do studies look like for us, and what's the dosing and all that? So yeah, it's not a great commentary anyway. So we'll have to, I guess, find the funds to do studies for us.
Yes.
So Debra was on our great live stream for the hormone reset. You were amazing. And it was so great to have you. And you're kind of helping us to get a better handle on what it looks like to exercise for hormone balance. Because of course, we all want to be rock stars. We all want to push ourselves. I don't know what that's about. We want to be strong and confident and sexy. That's what I always say. We want to be strong, confident, sexy, but we have to do it right, or we continue to stay tired and crave sugar and not sleep well. So kind of walk us through why traditional exercise programming doesn't work for the majority of women in midlife and beyond.
And for the reason that we've discussed is that, our hormones are changed. So when our estrogen levels drop, our cortisol levels go up. And we have to remember that even though we're advised by health experts, medical experts, American Heart Association, American Cancer Association, to exercise, that we all should be exercising, it's not going to fit if it's just a big, bold, and broad X amount of number of minutes per week, or so many minutes per workout, or that you should be feeling or in a certain intensity level for your workout. Because first we have to say, how do you feel today to know if we're giving you the right exercise prescription. So we have to remember exercise also is stress. So when we are, midlife women, I think we can all agree we're in a perfect storm. Our hormones, first of all, have changed. So there is that phenomenon none of us can change. For many of us, we may be at the peak of a career or just at the peak and bridge of lifestyle change, kind of that bubbling up of I want to do something different, or I want to do something more. Maybe I want to do it with someone different. There are so many changes that happen, and often young adult children that still depend on us some, and older aging parents that are depending on us. There's 3 generations kind of looking at us. So there's so much happening that all contributes to our stress levels. The change of hormones, so that it makes it trickier, not impossible, not to sleep, means that we don't have the right hormones to support building exercise. And our first concern actually might be restoring and getting back to, let's get better sleep. Let's focus on nutrition and focus on kind of getting centered and being present to decrease our stress levels and really tap into, how do I feel? What is the answer to that question? And then when we go there, we can decide what's the next step. So rather than just looking at, you should do so many sessions of cardio per week or so many sessions of strength training and what that looks like, we want to say, first of all, how are you feeling right now? Ultimately, there is a formula, but it's when you're feeling well that will work. And if you're not feeling well and restored and ready, that we need to look at, okay, let's take a look at what's not working and make a few changes here.
Yeah. So good. That's so good. Because we'll push through, no matter what, because we've been told that that's what we need to do. One of the gals who was on my team for years, she stayed at the gym for 2 hours every day because she was overweight, but the overweight was due to 9 different birth control pills over a number of years to try to regulate some of her symptoms. And so she would stay at the gym for 2 hours. She was exhausted. She had cystic acne. She was 70 pounds overweight, but that's what she thought she had to do if she wanted to trim up. And when we switched that up, right, and we went walking, she lost the 70 pounds, her skin clear, so you've got to get really clear, on what you're ready for. And if you're joining in with us live today, or you're watching the replay, I would love for you to post right here where you're joining in from. It's so wonderful to connect with others who might be in our area, because we have women from all over the world here. And then what is your current favorite exercise? What is your current favorite form of exercise? So one of my new clients who I was talking to yesterday, she's tired and she's gained 10 pounds that she just can't get off. And she's doing some pretty hard yoga, like 5 to 6 days a week. And, we think of yoga as, a more restorative exercise, but here in the West, we've turned it into a sport.
It is so true. Yes.
So yeah, there has to be a conversation, like, if things aren't working, how you're doing them, then you've got to change it up.
Right.
And, I talk about, checking your hunger, your cravings, your sleep, your menstrual cycle, if you're still menstruating, your energy, right? We call it the schmeck. Check your schmeck to see how exercise is serving you or not. So share a little bit about that for us. Like, how do we figure that out?
Yeah, definitely. And we're totally on the same page. We want to look at, what's firing. So if you're already craving doing long endurance types of exercise, tends to be the nemesis for midlife women. And it is for decades what we were conditioned to think we needed. we began as young adults, many of us, we learned, that classes an hour long really were the ones that counted, that mattered. And if we didn't have an hour, why exercise? That was kind of the philosophy that 20 minutes really, will that do it? I don't think so. And now we know that it's snacks of exercise for 10 minutes of quality exercise. And quality could be simply going for a walk at a self-selected pace around the neighborhood. And that may be exactly what you need to support your blood sugar, to decrease your cortisol level, and to just refresh and get you up and moving as opposed to sitting, if that's what you're doing during the day. So it's very important that we take a look at what hormonal effect are we having, and those, we don't need a lab to tell us. If you have cravings, potentially long endurance exercise is going to actually break down more muscle. We tend to see a falling off point. Cortisol levels continue to rise as opposed to come back down. I'm often asked by women, wait a minute, doesn't exercise decrease cortisol? And the answer is an unsatisfying, it depends. So yes, if you're doing the right dose for what's true for you right now. So it absolutely will, even though if you love it, it may physiologically not be the match for what you want. I can tell you that I'm a recovering endurance exercise woman, and we can also start a support group if you like, and I could lead it. That's how bad it is. Even now, that would be what I choose to do, and I know better. Between here knows it. The rest of me just has a heart that wants to go and do that. And we tend to increase that cortisol level after somewhere between about 60 and 75 minutes. If you're going that long, and you're going with any significant intensity at all. So if you're even in that steady state exercise, the jogging, and you're doing that repeatedly thinking, I'm not getting the reward, the benefit's not coming back to me that I think I deserve, it may be that you need to, change up. One day, go for a walk. We call this actually training as opposed to straining. So there's a difference in your exercise. So save that one day a week. Allow yourself that. It's like junk exercise, junk food, junk exercise. Allow yourself, okay, I can earn that. The rest of the week, I'm going to maybe go for a walk instead. Maybe I'll do high intensity where I play with higher and then low, really recovering in between. And you're changing up using the energy systems. We have 3. So if you always go the same distance, same pace, you won't tap into those. And you want to make sure that you're getting that variety. And then you may be able to tolerate that long thing you really love and truly love it again. So there's so many factors. But here's the biggest caveat is so many of us are cardio queens or have a history of that I think my sole mission here on the planet right now is to get every midlife woman to be a convert to strength training. Do the strength training to earn the cardio that you love. And you may find that the strength actually makes you feel better and stronger, hold yourself differently, and change so many things about your hormone balance that we're not going to get that reward from endurance. If you think about it like 7th grade, those girls who were just the mean girls? Cardio is that mean girl. You think you want to be a part of that group, but she's always going to be mean to you, never giving you what you really want. And strength training, on the other hand, will always deliver. There are, quote unquote, and this is from a research study, there are no non-responders to strength training. At any age, at any stage you might start or change, we can benefit.
Isn't that something? There are no non-responders. I love that. It's because it has just such a beneficial hormone profile, right? It's just, cortisol does not come up and stay up, right? It maybe comes up and comes down, and it's so good for insulin sensitivity.
Yes. Exactly. That
Oh,
was
good.
the first one, right? So a lot of women, in fact, midlife women who go to their doctor and get this devastatingly, bad news, like you're pre-diabetic, right? And hearing those words is a little bit of an insult. And especially if you feel like I've always watched what I'm doing, I'm active. And this strength training will support blood sugar levels, and therefore support your insulin level. It's one of the best things that someone can do for pre-diabetes or for diabetes. And often that's the weight loss resistant piece for women. So, but why start it for that, and why wait until you have a prescription, right? Why wait till a doctor says that when you could prevent it, and you can also gain the other benefits. So testosterone is another hormone we're familiar with, the sex hormones changing, and growth hormone are too. If we do that endurance exercise that some of us really love and are drawn to, like cocaine, we actually trash our testosterone. So we're probably going to notice, we can't actually put on lean muscle because we don't have enough testosterone. It's a requirement. And we may not have as much libido either because it's required for that. You may not feel as much a boss in the boardroom if you're in charge at work and making decisions. Testosterone is beneficial for all those. And growth hormone is the other one. Growth hormone and testosterone, both we create less of as we age. And that's always going to be true. We could decrease that production less so if we exercise appropriately. So avoid that, lots of endurance activity, get some strength training in, and then when you're ready, if and when you're ready, high intensity interval training can also be very beneficial for increasing testosterone and growth hormone.
Yeah, and that's where you build muscle, right?
Yes, that's right.
Muscle, and you burn fat, and muscle burns way more calories than fat, right? Way more calories.
Right. Yeah. And so, I think that's where, if you're forced to say, I only have so much time today, which should I do? I think often historically we've looked at which one is going to burn the most calories. And I would love to say to you, that's not the question that I wish you would ask. I wish you would ask which one is going to change long-term my body composition most optimally, and or stress my hormones the least negatively. And that is going to be strength training. So if you're due for a strength training workout and you have to choose between cardio or strength, choose the strength. By the end of the year, gaining that lean muscle mass makes the difference with blood sugar control, with increasing lean muscle that is metabolically active, burning more calories all day, just sitting here. You, if you are a strength training woman, are burning more calories than if not.
Yeah, it's so great. I love that. So if you have a choice, right, you would always choose strength training for the right hormone response. And I love what some of the ladies said, this walking, hiking, dancing. I love that. Yeah, it's coming with a lot of stiffness in my calves and thighs. All right. So there's some other things going on there. Yeah, I walk and do block therapy. What is that? I don't know what block therapy is.
Is it nerve block therapy?
And the fascia work with block has kept me pain-free. So maybe that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Photo walks in nature, walking on the beach. Yes. So Julie says, I'm willing to do strength training, but I really dislike gyms. So we need to come up with a solution, and we do have one for you.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Yeah. You can do. Okay. So someone's giving advice here. All right. Yeah. So let's talk about that. You mentioned some really important things. It's really a hormonal response that you're looking for exercise. You can't, I call myself the over-exercise, under-eat, bow tie pastry, mocha girl. And that was because when I was in my 20s, I would not eat breakfast because I felt that if I ate breakfast, I would just be hungrier for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
And that's very true when we eat carbs for breakfast, because carbs, when you eat carbs, you want to eat more carbs.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the belief I had at the time, and that's all I knew. So I didn't eat breakfast. I went to jazzercise, right, which is cardio for an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt like I deserved a mocha, right, which, was way, way, way back when, and a bow tie pastry, like a little croissant, but a little sweeter. And, thinking back on it, it just cracks me up because I couldn't possibly have even burned enough calories to have that. And there's this whole idea that, well, I just burned all these calories, so I can have that.
Right.
And what you don't realize is that you're not burning nearly enough calories to have something like that. And why would you want to go work so hard and then throw it all away? It makes no sense. So we're learning a new way here today with Debra.
Yeah.
All right. So we want to know the non-scale signs that you're going in the right direction, or that we're headed in the right direction.
Well, kind of flipping the checklist for it's not working. You don't have cravings. Your energy is fairly stable throughout the day. Again, comes back to the blood sugar. You don't have those dips. Exercising in the right way will tell you that this is your clue. It's your breadcrumb, like Hansel and Gretel, that, yeah, you're going in the right direction. You're probably sleeping better. And here's just a great tip. If you're thinking, I don't know, I'd like to start, or I'm doing something, 10 minutes a day, just 10, self-selected pace. Robin and I are not going to tell you it has to be so far. You're going to have to get breathless. You just choose how fast or slow do you want to go. 10 minutes a day of exercise increases your quality of sleep by 33%. That was from a poll by National Sleep Foundation back in 2013. I think I've been saying it ever since, because we kind of need to hear that reinforcement for just a little bit does so much. And honestly, if you're tipping the scale in the opposite direction, you may find the opposite. I think we believe we can escalate that. So, okay, great. If I do 30 or 40 or 50 minutes, my sleep will be fantastic. You will find probably a falling off point where you'll have the opposite again. If you're overtired or overexhausted, it won't have that same effect. So it's very important. And we should mention time of day is a factor. So when you're exercising most intensely, ideally you do that earlier in the day. So I love it to be, early, literally like breakfast time. But if that's not possible for a lot of people, a lunch hour break when you exercise, or early afternoon, the later in the day it gets, the ideal is that the intensity of your exercise comes down. So if you missed a high intensity interval training, you don't want to make it up. After work, you ideally would instead go for a walk or do yoga, and that's going to do more for decreasing cortisol, optimizing your body's ability to burn fat, because when we remove cortisol, we do that. If we add cortisol, we go more into fat storage. So that's not going to help your creation of lean muscle mass. So important that we kind of full circle and come back to those things. So your libido will also improve. So if you're exercising correctly, you're going to notice you probably feel a little better. And that has to do with so many things, but so many exercises will get you moving, get you to be in and feel your body. And you move your hips. If you can, figure out, what am I doing? Maybe it's Pilates, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's just I'm doing squats and lunges. That's moving that pelvis. And that activity actually helps us feel a little bit more confident, feel a little bit more sexy.
I love that. So great. More is not better. That's the message here. More is not better. 10 minutes, right? We all have 10 minutes in the day. 10 minutes. That's so great. So Debra, you have a program coming right up. And I think today is a really important day for this program. Can you tell us a little bit about it? Because it's really all about what we've been talking about today. It's helping you kind of, well, it's guided, right? So you have support. So tell us what this program is about.
So it's called Stronger. We call it Stronger. We don't call it skinny, for a reason. I like to say strong does things skinny didn't even dream about. And that's really what we're after. I think as we age, it becomes more important how we're doing that. So this is most importantly made for midlife women. The science behind every workout was not how I felt, even after almost 4 decades of being in the industry. It wasn't about my creativity when I got up in the morning and wrote a program. It's about use of studies that have been proven to be effective for women in menopause, in any stage of menopause. So I didn't use studies where these were men or these were mice or even young women, because again, it doesn't apply. And we don't know with confidence that what worked for a young man is going to work for us. So if it wasn't including us, we didn't include it. And what we're using is very basic exercises. So you won't in the program see a lot of variety for variety's sake. And the reason is this: we know that we need adequate stimulus, we need adequate overload. And the best way to do that is take the core exercises that really are known to work and help us function. Bending over to pick things up, picking up dogs and babies and groceries out of cars, and all of the things we do just in living to make those things easier and have transfer. Doing them with more sets and or more repetitions in workouts is a much better way to increase the overload than to do a lot of exercises, but not add enough overload for any one exercise. So I know it's it's a tough challenge for some women who are like, but I so need variety. And, the dance you want to dance is what will hook us all, I think, is results, feeling and seeing results. So you want to make sure that you're thinking, what are my number one priorities? Is it bone density? Is it to change or optimize body composition? Meaning weight loss may be a goal, but it may not for some of you. You may be at adequate weight or even be underweight and need to increase that muscle mass. Either way, increasing muscle mass is the solution to optimizing body composition. And we do that with those main core exercises done correctly, knowing how they should feel and how they shouldn't feel, getting the adequate cues, knowing we've lived in our bodies for 30 or 40 more years. And we've probably got some niggles, some little signs that I need to be a little bit more careful than I did when I was 20. I think any one of us could say that. One thing we don't want to be saying is I was in the best shape of my life right before I got hurt. Then there are a lot of exercise programs out there that are very intense and that will move you in certain ways, but not necessarily deliver the change in your body composition that ends up resulting in you feeling better with optimal hormonal balance due to them. So the picking is, really important for you in looking at what's the science behind this. So I'm a believer of 2 times a week. The workouts are 45 minutes or less a week. And so you spend 90 minutes total at most per week doing it. So it's 12 weeks long, 24 workouts. And the greatest satisfaction I have in developing it is people come to it and women will say, I have never been able to stick with it before. 2 times a week was doable. This was realistic. And I'm going to pat myself on the back. And a lot of times women don't do that. So be prepared. But I think my special sauce is being able to cue you in a way that answers questions before you know to ask them. So women will say, I felt like you were in the room with me and you knew my shoulders were sneaking into my ears. I felt like you knew that my weight wasn't on my heels and you told me at just the right time. So, that I think is so very important. We don't need an injury to happen. And when I know from 40 years of watching women, I can help prevent those things from happening.
I just posted the link to your program here on Zoom, and Lizette is posting it in the Facebook group.
Fantastic.
And so a few things that I heard you say, and I just want to kind of reiterate. So like, this is an incredible opportunity to get an amazing professional, right? Somebody who really knows her stuff, especially around women, to be supported around exercise. I heard 2 days a week.
2, yes, just 2
a week, right? 24 sessions over 12 weeks, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So doable. Exercises that are going to make us stronger, that are going to increase growth hormone, testosterone, help us sleep better, right? Help us just feel stronger and more confident. And it's called Stronger. It's called Stronger. And so this sounds amazing because it's so confusing. There are so many exercise programs out there on the internet. There are so many YouTube videos. It's easy just to go and pick something, but you're not necessarily being with someone who really knows her stuff, especially, post menopause. And I would like to put a plug in for women who are premenopause as well. Mm-hmm. This is fantastic for you too. We're all too busy doing too much, and it's keeping cortisol elevated, and it is keeping you stuck in hormone hell. So it's really important that we understand the right type of exercise so that we can reach our health goals. So I highly recommend Debra's program, Stronger. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a game changer for you, because we're just busy pushing harder and harder, and it's keeping us stuck. So let's do this, right? Let's shift a habit that's not working. Let's shift it.
Exactly.
And see what you notice. And, on the other days, walk. Go walking. It improves insulin resistance so much and helps us stay balanced and sleep better and be happier. And I think one of the other things that we didn't talk about was just really kind of powering through your brain chemistry when you overexercise. It makes us depressed. It makes us anxious. We eat more, sugar. You can call it carbs, whatever you want, but you're driven to eat the wrong foods, and we just don't feel happy. And so we want to stop doing that. We want to stop the vicious cycle, right, of over-exercising, making wrong food choices, not getting enough sleep, and then being really unhappy with our health. And Debra's program can help with so much of this.
So true. So well said. To Angie's point, and I think, Robin, you alluded to it, but now is a perfect time. But the difference for perimenopause, which is what I would just guess, Angie, is where you're at, whether you've felt any symptoms or not. Most of us in our 40s are getting there, but absolutely, the program is ideal. You and actually postmenopausal women need more intensity than you do right now, girlfriend. So it's very appropriate for you. We don't age and lose the need for intensity. We actually gain the need, but not for time. So it's all about make the time we do spend count and do it safely. Yeah, great question.
And you had talked about how there's not a lot of diversity in the program as far as different activities, but I think that's so much better, right? Because it makes repetition so much easier, understandable, and you're not off doing a gazillion different things. You're just doing this one thing or this one thing, right? It makes it so much more doable.
Yeah. It's actually, I just pulled myself away from a study this morning looking at benefits of a very static, much more static program than what I'm offering. So you're going to get a variety within workouts. The exercises don't change dramatically. How we use them, the sequence, Do we put them in pairs or threes or in a circuit? That all changes because diversity within good choices, just like with food, is important. We don't want to do the same thing every time, but we do want to do it with a protocol that matters. For bone density, repeating the same quality exercise is known to work, was shown to in postmenopausal women, again, increase bone density. 10 and 20 years ago, we did not say that. And the reason is there weren't studies on postmenopausal women. So we will be the first generation to prove that potentially lifting weights heavy enough at 80 may still increase bone density, which is very exciting. So we're cutting edge.
That is so exciting. Yeah. And so is it possible for you to share with us the women from our community who join the program? Because we would like to give a bonus for those ladies who say yes to Stronger. You say, when you say yes to Stronger and you join now. So today's a special day in that pricing increases tomorrow, right?
Right.
So today the program is how much?
It is 97 right now. It's 50% off. We reward early birds because we all have reasons we could procrastinate, right? So jump in right now, say yes to yourself. Yes.
That's our motto. Just say yes.
Yeah.
Tomorrow the price goes up to?
Tomorrow the price goes up to $147.
$147. So it's today. So when you join today, we're going to give you nine shake up your summer shake recipes.
Ooh.
And we're going to give you a 20% off coupon to one of our protein powders so that you can eat well while you're doing Debra's program and really rock out your gorgeous summer body, Yeah. So Debra's team will let us know and we'll get that sent off to you next week. So say yes today, whether you're listening live or listening to the replay, jump in. And I know that we have some fitness professionals actually watching today.
Right.
And so I think it's really wonderful to see what Debra does so that you can do that with your own clients, right? Your own patients even, because I know that we have a chiropractor on with us. And and I just think it's fantastic. So thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. So I hope to see so many of you in. You have all of it, the whole package. Robin's just giving you the keys to the kingdom. So.
Yeah, because I think it'll be great because, you got to have your good food, your great workout. Life is good. So good. All right. Let's give Debra so much love, ladies, like we do. So much love. And we're just so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here with us while you're in nature and enjoy the rest of your trip.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here live and for the great questions. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Great to see you today.